Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Jank Bank, the show where I take your suggestions and make a terrible deck out of it. So this month, we were tasked with making a deck out of Craniamon, and I cooked up something a little bit special. So let's just get started with it. All right. So first off is four Kozeniamon for your eggs. Uh, All turns, when a Digimon is deleted, when this Digimon deletes a Digimon in battle, you draw a card. So that means when you attack over something, you delete something. When something attacks into you, say, I don't know, perhaps you have Blocker and a big booty, then you get to stop them or you get to draw another card. We also run one Kyokyoumon. During your opponent's turn, when Digimon becomes unsuspended, you draw a card. So that's their Digimon, that's your Digimon, and this is basically so that you can draw a bunch of cards since there's not as much card search as what we might like in this deck. So, next up, going on to our level 3s, we are going to be running 4 Toy Agumon. This is a level 3 that gives Reboot as an inheritable, and that means that on your opponent's turn, you're going to just unsuspend at the same time that they're unsuspending stuff. So you can attack in and not really feel any kind of reprisals on their turn unless you want to block. All right. Next up, we're going to be running 4 Agumon from Star Deck 15. During the start of your main phase, you get to, or you gain 1 memory if your opponent has a Digimon. And as an inheritable, when an attack target switches, you gain a memory. That's once per turn, all turns, so that can be on your turn or your opponent's turn. So if anybody blocks, you gain 1 memory. This is to help us turbo up into our higher level stuff as quickly as possible. Next, we are running 4 of the Toy Agumon from Starter Deck 5. End of your opponent's turn. If they didn't attack, then you get to draw 1. So this is kind of trying to force their hand into either attacking you or you gain more resources. Just a little punishment regardless of what they're doing. And of course, to slow your opponent down, we are going to be running 2 of the BT20 Solar Mons. This guy has Blocker in addition to Reboot as an inheritable, so he kind of helps out with getting that desirable inheritable that we want so that we can activate on both opponents' turn, as well as slowing them down from just running us over in the early game. Going on to our level 4s, we are running 4 of the ST13 Gladimons. These guys have 4K. They are only 4 play cost and have a 1 Digivolution cost. So this is a cheap Digivolve to just kind of bridge going from your level 3 to 5 as quickly as possible. No inheritable on that one, but like I said, this is just about getting up into your 5s as fast as you can. Then we are going to be running 4 of the BT13 Gladimons. Now, this one has jamming as its ability and reboot as an inheritable. So, if you can't digivolve over your Toy Agumons or Solarmons, this can make sure that your stack still has reboot. In addition to that, you swing it, you digivolve into this, swing in, do your check. It's pretty safe since you have jamming, and then you digivolve over it to end your turn. Reboot. Now you're not getting attacked into. And last for our level 4s, we are going to be running 2 of the Starter Deck 15 Greymons. Now, if this thing is digivolving over any kind of Agumon, it's just going to be for 2. So if you change up the base, this is still going to be able to digivolve over Agumons. If it's stuck in security, you get to play an Agumon or Tamer with Taikamiya in name from hand or trash without playing the cost. It also has Reboot, and as an inheritable, all turns when attack target switches, gain 1 memory. So these two combined, you could gain 2 memory if something switches attack targets. Now, for our level 5s, we are going to be running 4 of the ST-17 Rapidmons. Now, on player when digivolving, you de-digivolve 1 on one of your opponent's Digimon. Really helps slowing them down and kind of removing some of the stickier Digimon. He also stops himself from being deleted or returned to the deck if you have a green tamer out when he's played or digivolved. That's not really going to come up in this particular build, but you can make use of that however you want to. And for an inheritable, and the main reason we chose him, all turns, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, you trash their top security. So they swing in, you block, they're deleted, trash a security. You swing over one of their Digimon, trash a security. Alright. Then we are going to be running 2 of the BT-22 Rise Greymons. He's got Raid, and he can, when digivolving, you can play out a black or red tamer with play cost of 4 or less for free. And as an inheritable, he's got security +1. So you can, since Craniamon is really big, it's pretty easy to get both of those checks off, and this just helps speed you on towards the end game. For our aces, we run 2 of the Cyberdramon Ace. Now, on player when digivolving, you search the top 5 of your deck for a black tamer, play it for free, and then if you have a tamer out, you de-digivolve 1. So even if you don't find a tamer, you can still do the de-digivolve. And of course, as an inheritable, when attacking, you de-digivolve 1. So Craniamon, of course, can now de-digivolve whenever he's taking something down, making it even easier to swing over. Of course, we are going to be running 2 of the OG BT3 Craniamons. He has a blocker, and all turns, your Digimon with blocker can't be deleted by your opponent's effects. That is all of your Digimon with blocker, so if you want to bump up the number of blockers around, that's going to help out with maintaining his effect. And for the last of our level 6s, we are running 4 of the BT-13 Craniamon. He's got blocker, and he's got on play, and when digivolving, you until the end of your opponent's turn, you cannot be deleted. This card is unaffected by your opponent's Digimon effects, and so many effects these days are from Digimon. That is going to be really useful, and end of your opponent's turn, you force them to attack. His 13k DP is going to make it real easy to block most anything that they have, and then once blocked, you can trash their top security, gain memory, and of course, draw a card, all kinds of additional effects that just pile on. Alright, for our tamers, we are running 3 of the ST-15 Tai Kamiyas. Start your turn, he fixes your memory up to 3. All turns, when an attack target switched, you suspend him to draw 1 and gain 2k on your Digimon. So you can bump your Craniamon up to 15k and draw a card whenever he blocks. Or if you swing in and your opponent blocks, you can also use this on your turn to make him 15k. For our options, we are running 4 defense training. Our Digivolution costs are massive, so we are going to do what we can to try to get those down as much as possible, in addition to searching out several of our key pieces. We are going to run 2 of the Black Scrambles. This is once again to get that Digivolution cost down as much as possible, and to have a little bit of a comeback potential if your opponent manages to wipe your field. Of course, good targets for this is things like the Solarmon or the Agumon, so that you can just play out cards that'll give you advantage on your turn. Solarmon being able to block, and Agumon being able to give you more memory to work with to try to facilitate your comeback. We are going to run 2 of the final Zubakan Punch from BT4. This gives one of your Digimon plus 3,000 DP. They also get blocker, reboot, and security attack plus 1 if that bumps them up to 16k or more. Which means if you use it on your BT13 Craniamon, he now has security attack plus 1, reboot, and blocker, even if he doesn't have any of that in his in his Digivolution effects, or in his inheritable effects. You can combine that with the Rise Greymon in order to give that security attack plus 2, so you can do 3 checks in one turn, and then unsuspend, so that you can still block on your opponent's turn. And lastly, we are going to be running 1 of Waltz's End. During your main phase, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon gains opponent's turn. When this Digimon becomes suspended, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost less than or equal to this Digimon's. And opponent's turn, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's option cards. So, you go into Craniamon, who has a pretty big play cost. And if they attack, you start deleting stuff, and you're unaffected by option cards. Now, of course, this does combo very nicely with the end of opponent's turn effect, so even if your opponent doesn't attack in order to try to not activate this, you could force them. Alright? So the main goal of the deck is obviously going to be going to BT13 Craniamon, have either your defensive option of trashing your opponent's security, or your offensive options, Digivolve to remove problem cards, and security attack plus 1 to finish up as much security as possible. You get reboot as quickly as you can, so that you can continue to attack on your turn and defend on your opponent's turn. You gain memory as quickly as possible, so that your opponent can, since you end your opponent's turn, even if they're just getting started, you draw cards on their turn, and you punish them for trying to play around your game plan. I think that this is maybe not the best Craniamon deck ever, but hopefully this gives you a good idea of how to start. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed this enough to do all 3. And if you have any requests or ideas on the next episode of Jank Bank, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.